Hi, my name is Erica McHale. I wrote my paper on Erica Powell, and she was the private secretary to Kwame Nkrumah. I wrote my paper on part of a book that I read called Private Secretary Female Gold Coast, and it was by her. The reason it's called that is because that was the exact newspaper advertisement that was put out calling for private secretaries for him. And that's what my paper's on. Erica Powell never imagined that becoming a secretary would open so many doors. She never imagined all the important people that she would meet, imagine the important work that she would do, the great friendships that would last a lifetime, or the hardships she would have to face. She did not realize at the time she'd be witnessing the shaping of modern Africa. While on the Gold Coast, as Ghana used to be known before independence, Erica Powell worked for the governor and the prime minister, who later became the president of Africa, or Ghana. The agency that Erica applied for a secretary job is called Crown Agency. She applied with them for a secretary job in northern Rhodesia, now Zambia. In her memoir, Private Secretary, Female Gold Coast, Powell writes, "Early in January 1952, I received an acknowledgement of this application from the Crown agents for the colonies inviting me to London for an interview. As this was about the only reply I've had to dozens of applications, I cautiously reread the advertisement. It was for a 3-year contract, which was fair enough, but reading between the lines, it seems almost certain that I would be pitched into a typing pool. Shuddering at the near miss, I sent a telegram saying that I was ill and unable to attend the interview. A few days later, the Crown agents wrote and asked if I would like to be considered for a private secretary's job in the Gold Coast. The job was advertised as Private Secretary, Female Gold Coast. It carried a salary of £510 a year, plus an overseas allowance of £150. And in addition, the successful candidate would qualify for 3 months paid leave at the end of the year. Just before leaving for the Gold Coast in 1952, the agency that employed Erica Powell sent a book entitled Hints on the Preservation of Health in Tropical Africa, which gave hints on how to avoid certain tropical diseases in Africa, such as dysentery, which is always a serious disease and avoided only by drinking water that has been boiled, tumbu fly that lay eggs under your skin, which later ooze out as maggots, yaws, black water fever, snake bite, joggers, venereal diseases, alcoholism, sleeping sickness, worms, and typhus. With so many hazards, I made a will, although I had nothing to bequeath to anybody. At least this might avoid any family disputes if compensation were paid in lieu of my safe return." When Erica first arrived in Africa after a 30-hour flight, she had no idea what lay ahead. Her first job was work with the colonial officer, Mr. Reginald Soloway, later Sir Reginald Soloway. She then later took a job of working for His Excellency the Governor Sir Charles Arden Clark. By working for the governor, Erica attended all the types of fabulous and socially elite parties in which she met many socially elite people. It was there, working for the governor, that she met Prime Minister Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. This began a very platonic relationship, which eventually turned into appointment as private secretary to the Prime Minister. When she first met the Prime Minister, their relationship was very strange. All she really knew about him was he was supposedly anti-white. Nkrumah was now a regular visitor to the governor's office, where after weeks of ignoring Powell, he suddenly invited her to dinner. She didn't know what to do, so she asked the governor for permission. She writes in her memoir, "The Prime Minister invited me to dinner, Sir H.E. H.E. took off his glasses, looked very interested, and smiled. I understand it's a tete-a-tete, sir." H.E. looked very interested and frowned. It's difficult to refuse, sir," I lumbered on. "After all, he is the Prime Minister." H.E. said, "No, you can't very well refuse, but..." He stared at me puzzled. "This is very unusual," he said at length. "I don't know any other European who has been invited to the PM's house. I'm just trying to work out why he has singled you out for this honor." "Oh," I said, "do you think it's all right to go, sir?" H.E. smiled kindly. "You know, Erica, Nkrumah is a very lonely man. He spoke with affection and pride of a father discussing his son. "Yes," he said, standing up, "you have to go, Erica, but let me know what happens. Good luck." sorry, dinner that night caused them to be very close, so close that not a day went by where they would not talk, and of course the governor wanted to know all about her dinners and phone calls with the prime minister. Telling the governor about all their dates, I believe, caused a little bit of jealousy. I say this because she was starting to find out that he was not anti-white at all. They were both finding much-needed companionship in each other, and this made people wonder and rumors sparked. The British popular press, in particular, liked to portray the relationship as a real-life version of The King and I. Powell's arrival in Britain with Nkrumah from a Commonwealth meeting in 1957 sparked a frenzy of unfounded rumors that they have even married. Eventually, Powell was asked to leave her position as the governor's secretary, and the governor even suggested that she leave Africa altogether because of the bond she and the prime minister were forming. She went home to visit her mother and family in England, told her mother everything. Erica's mother agreed with the governor about not returning because of the rumors. Powell, for her part, had returned to England to squash the rumors. This done, she was offered the position that she was to occupy until the 1966 coup that ended Nkrumah's political career in his native land, private secretary to the prime minister. Throughout the years, Powell and Nkrumah's relationship sparked many rumors. She accompanied him everywhere from coast to coast, which didn't help the rumors. Throughout everything that Powell noticed, Dr. Nkrumah just seemed oblivious to everything, especially the rumors. He had this kind of calm to him and did not care of what other people thought. He was there for other reasons. He was there to help and make Africa a better place. He was a man of so many parts and so many moods. However well you believed you knew him, you would one day discover an indefinable something beyond your reach, which would make you wonder if indeed you have ever really known him at all. In 1966, Nkrumah was overthrown and lived in exile in Guinea until he died in 1972. Powell and Nkrumah never lost their bond or closeness, even when he was in exile. They exchanged letters up until the time he died.